fastest hour on the internet.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary, quite incredible, quite unlike anything you may have experienced in your life.
It's time for Top Spur TV. With your host, Douglas Bruce and Big Mike Fisher. Fasten your seatbelts. It's time for Top Spur.
Hey guys, and welcome back into the all-new Top Spur. I am Douglas Bruce, along with my co-host and wingman extraordinaire, Big Mike Fisher. Big Mike, how the hell are you, buddy?
Doing good, man. Ready for another Top Spur, man. This has been interesting, you know?
Well, you know, it's pretty amazing to be back doing this after all the months that we were off and not doing the show. We're here at Grand Residence. We got the great pool side and the scenery, and we're actually here at a place called the Pool Deck.
I think the people like the change of scenery. You know?
Well,
in my closet again. You know?
Well, you know, even when we did them on the farm, you know, those few times that we had beautiful pullets in the background. We got beautiful pullets in the background as well here. So it's win-win always. Guys, we are Bruce and Big Mike. We are back doing Top Spur, the show that we love. Did for so many years. Big Mike, over 5 years. We did Top Spur almost every week for 5 solid years. You know, there's about 400 hours of just the podcast. Started out as
when we did the first welcome back. It's kind of therapeutic.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we get, you know, we used to do that every week, and which got to be a little bit much. But coming up with new stuff and not wanting to be repetitive, which I think the way we're doing it now is good, because now I feel like I'm ready to talk again.
Well, you know, it's funny because, you know,
get it all off my
you can
chest.
talk about stuff now. We're going to be talking about the incredible edible egg today. Talking a lot about incubation and what to do with eggs. Since we last week, our first week back, or 2 weeks ago, our first week back, we talked a little bit about early breeding and breeding season. Guys getting prepped for breeding season.
Use of turkeys.
Mike using turkeys. That's a cool idea. Hey, it works. That's a cool idea. But you know, being able to, 5 years ago we did a segment called Megla episode or something. It was all about eggs, and similar to what we're doing now, but we haven't talked about that in years. And so there's a lot of new viewers that are out there. A lot of the old viewers don't remember us talking about it. If you're like me, hell, I don't know what I said 5 minutes ago.
I gotta try not to step on the stuff from 2 weeks ago again, you know.
Well, you know, pretty amazing. And so you know, it's really, really cool to be able to do these shows again and be able to connect with the audience again. And we really miss the interaction. I know both of us did. And you know, there's other shows out there, and there's other people doing stuff out there. But it came a time when so many people were talking to us and asking us about, you know, what's going on, and didn't seem like a lot of them were getting the answers they wanted from some of the other shows that are out there. You know.
Let's face it, we're good looking.
It's the bald head. Yep. No,
I think, you know what it is, man? I think shit just boils down to chemistry, because our other show is great too. We're just not talking about roosters. You know, we're talking about the Philippines. We're talking about politics and stuff. Well, we've dabbled a little bit into politics, but not a whole lot. And this one, we just strictly talk about roosters and I think we understand the Gamefowl culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the way people interact. We know that people don't agree on stuff, and everybody has a different idea.
And that's okay.
Yeah, and which you and I, you know, that's one of our things that we always make a note and make fun of.
Yeah.
We don't agree on shit. 90%. Well, I wouldn't say that, because we're both old now. I'm 54 now. before you were just the old one. So I think that I'm
I
kind of,
respectfully disagree with that comment.
I'm coming of age.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So I think that the stuff that, and not only that, I'm a student of this game, you
Yeah.
know, and I think as a student of this game, you should be, you know, all people should be a student of the game until you're just not doing it anymore, because everything that worked last year may not work again this year. That's why who wins the World Slasher Cup last year might not win again this
Yeah.
year, or win ever again.
Yeah.
Because damn, everybody watches how those roosters fight, and they try to make changes.
And it's a lot like NASCAR when it comes to minor adjustments.
That's right.
A little bit of turn here, a little bit of turn there, and it makes all the difference in the world. And you know, that's why nobody's dominating in this sport.
That's right.
You know, a
Yeah.
tweak here, a tweak there,
Although
a misstep
I
here,
saw
a
an
misstep there.
American in the WPC this week, they were putting up his fight videos. Man, it was good, man. His roosters have the Mayweather like that
Yeah.
I like, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, look, this guy, he must be watching the show. Talk about how I fight, because that's what I like, and I'm glad to see an American in there with roosters that don't just run up and kick. You know, it was smart.
They're not overly aggressive.
That's right, waiting to see. But
Yeah.
I tell you, that sucker wanted to kill.
That's the
You know, once
style
that rooster
here.
was down.
That's very much the style here, and
Yeah.
you know, you can do everything right and still go there and it not work out for you. You can do everything that you did last year.
Yeah.
Hell, you can do everything that you did last week.
That's right.
And it just
get
doesn't.
your ass handed
Yep.
to you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, you're dealing with, you know, factors like the weather. You're dealing with factors like how the roosters
And
are
they
feeling.
can't tell you how they feel.
No.
You know what I mean?
Nope.
The roosters can't tell you today I just don't feel right, boss. You know, we got to do this shit next week. But that I think that's why a show like ours is important. I always said this is an important thing. It's just we were big. I mean, we're still busy now. Even doing this, when you said, Mike, how would you like to do another show? All right, man, I'm in.
Let's see, in order to do this, I'm gonna lose 2 hours sleep.
That's right.
You know,
You're damn
this
right.
week. Yep.
You're right.
Absolutely,
You're
both
right.
of us.
You're right. That's exactly how it is, because I had to
slept
take my
3
wife to
hours.
the market today, so we got up early. I drove her to the market up there, because you know, I've been here 15 years. I like fish soup now, man, and she buys this expensive fish, but man, when she makes it in the soup, it's so good. She's like, "How about fish soup tonight?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." So for lunch, she made these. I call them snails because they hate it when I call them snails, you know. But it's clams.
Yeah.
These green-looking clams. She makes this soup. I would never in my life thought that Mike Fisher would ever eat a clam. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't my thing, you know. But she makes this stuff. It's so good. I even put the sauce on the rice. So I ate that, then jump in the truck and come over here. So, you know,
I understand.
We're busy,
Yeah.
man, and I know you. Between writing books,
I
and,
slept.
you know, us taking on the world. I mean, come on.
Yeah, our other show. I
What?
slept 3 hours last
But
night.
I feel
That's what I
like,
slept.
I guess if I could say something about like a passion about something, I do about Gamefowl.
Yeah.
I still
Yeah.
love Gamefowl, even though for a while I was a little bit disgruntled. Not disgruntled, just I was just kind of like not in the mood, man.
Burned out on it.
Yeah, I was a
Yeah.
little bit burned out.
Yeah, it's like
you know?
eating. You know, I love vanilla ice cream, but I can't eat it all the time.
That's right.
One is bad for me, but the other thing, you just burn out on it. You burn out on anything.
Yeah.
After.
But I do miss talking about it.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things about you and me is that the, you know, some of our competitors out there may not have is that a lot of them are not really Gamefowl people, you know, and a lot of them are not you know, have not been to business as long as you and I have been, and not been around them as long as you and I have been, or have that kind of deep passion for them. You know, I'm talking about Gamefowl, and so are you, whether we're doing this or riding down the road or doing something else. That's what this show is no different than you and I making a trip in a truck to somewhere.
In fact, even though we're doing the other show and it does take up time from us,
Yeah.
it's different. It's different. We don't have that. You know, to me, it's not as therapeutic as this. You know, like I told you last week when I went up and did. Got the stuff from my brother-in-law. Now we're excited, but he said some of them we could really fight them right away. But I told him, wait until I come back from Thailand, because I'm going to Thailand on the 11th of March.
Yeah.
Taking my whole family there for 10 days. So there's just something about sitting here shooting the shit, talking about roosters. You know, like
Yeah.
the first time when I went out there to that farm, and you and I were sitting around that incubator spot we had out there. We
Yeah.
were just sitting there talking, and you were like, Mike, me and you, we could do a podcast about this. What we're
Yeah.
talking about right now. I was like, what the hell's a podcast, man?
Hell, I didn't know till
what?
Desmond told me, you know.
God, what?
Yeah.
I don't know. And then, but I knew I had listened to Adam Carolla for years already at the time, a couple of years. He had just had that new podcast of his, and I was like, yeah, I think people would get a kick out of what we're doing, and it kind of morphed into something that was good. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine all we talk about is roosters, and we had a big following.
5-year run, and you know, I think about the YouTube channel that got taken down by YouTube. You know, it had I think 30,000 followers on it at the time. The Facebook page that we had like 35,000 followers at the time when it was taken down. So, you know, and we had a lot of battles. We had a lot of things that you know,
I don't
like
miss that part of it.
No,
miss
no, I
the
don't.
Part of having to tiptoe, and I know that we'll never be able to talk about the good stuff. You know what I mean? We'll never be able to discuss the real nitty gritty, which I'm cool with that now, because now it's not every week. We don't have to do it every week and worry about being repetitive. And I think that it's just good to sit around and talk about chickens.
Yeah.
You know, what's the latest and greatest? And I think, you know, we can knock 2 of those out a month, and reconnect with our fans, you know, here and there. I think it's good. I'm still looking forward to it.
Real excited about it, guys. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, if you're on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel here. Hit the like button and hit the notification bell so you can catch the all new Top Spur every time we put one of these out. If you're on Facebook, like and share. Let somebody know that the show is back on. We appreciate it. You'll be able to see it there on the Top Spur group that we're on. Also, the other show, want to mention that Bruce and Big Mike Take on the World. It's
That's a good show, man.
It is. It's a great show.
I like it.
Well, and the
I'm
thing is,
actually
we're
proud
helping
of it.
people on there. We're helping we're helping a lot of our audience. Nearly half of our audience is Filipinos.
Yeah.
You know, women that live here, and they're learning about you know, what foreigners like, what Americans are like to date and to get along with and be in a relationship with. We're also giving a lot of advice to the expats and the foreigners that are here from.
We're thinking about jumping ship and coming here.
Yeah.
The pros and cons.
Yeah, and we've done that a lot on this show. Talked about, you know, what it takes to come here and stuff, and that has changed. Even that has changed quite a bit since we've been doing this show, and a lot of new stuff.
I think that if our you know, Top Spur show had a spot where we talked about, you know, everything in life, I think that is where I would like to be, but we can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I like shooting this. Me and you, we're not political guys.
No,
but
not at all.
There are current events going on that are nice to talk about, and I think that gives us that, you know, Bruce and Big Mike Take on the World gives us that outlet to get that part of us out too, because me and you are opinionated dudes, man. I mean, we're gonna give you our 2 cents worth, whether you like it or not, and we're usually different, and I think that's what's good too, because when you say something, I can say, well, yeah, that's not how I roll, but you know, this is how I roll, and we like that, and I think that adds so much to our dynamics.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. We're going to take a real quick break here, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about the incredible edible egg. Going to be talking about everything from the beginning with you know, the right nest box and all of that, all the way up to incubation and setup and those sort of things. So, guys, we'll be right back after this message. Hey guys, and welcome back into the show. It's Douglas Bruce along with Big Mike Fisher, and we're bringing you the all-new Top Spur. You heard me right, Top Spur. Yeah, we're back, guys. A couple of weeks ago was our first show back, Big Mike, and in over 7 months, and really excited about doing these again. It kind of,
I found myself thinking about it driving around more so. I mean,
yeah,
like I said, we have the other show, and I still think about topics for that. But you know, this one I'm really, I was fired up, man. I was fired up.
you know, and just got so many messages from people and guys, you know, like, hey guys, when are you ever going to do another show? Really miss the old show, you know, because the new show, a lot of them it doesn't apply to, and I understand that, you know, but these are all aspects of our lives, and we're grateful that we're able to come on here and talk about them and do these and try and be informative. We're trying to give you some good information and talk to you about some new stuff that you know, it's like you said before, that there's things that you learned over the last 5 years that we might have taught something one way then, we're teaching it a little differently now, or have a new aspect of it.
Yeah, I'm doing it with no electricity, man.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
so
pretty amazing.
It is, man. I mean, hey, God bless my guys, because it would have cost me a lot of money to put in electricity out there.
Yeah.
You know, and I used to jump with the other guy, but then after the typhoon, we didn't have electricity for so long. I was just like, you know what? I pay my guys a certain amount of money to a place that they charge their phone. You know, so they do a certain fee, like 25 pesos or something, or 10 pesos per charge or something cheap, you know, so it only ends up costing me $20 a month.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That's a lot cheaper than trying to do it the other way.
Yeah.
Mike, we're talking about the egg here today a little bit from you know, one of the first things that you and I talked about when we first got together years ago was about I hate to see hens laying eggs on the ground. It just causes a lot of problems. And I know a lot of guys say, oh, well, you know, I just let them do whatever. But it encourages them to break the eggs. It encourages them, then that encourages them to eat the eggs. And you just wind up with a lot of issues.
Talks revolved around eggs somehow to begin with.
Yeah.
Our first discussions where I saw you writing with a pen or something.
Marker, yeah, permanent marker versus
you're
pencil.
not allowed to do that, and you're like,
yeah,
and
I've had that discussion.
So what do? I run tests. I got different markers and marked them up. And when the eggs hatched out, I looked inside of them. It was like, it didn't go through.
Didn't do
There's
anything.
no number on my chicks.
No, yeah. 43.
Day 40.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's one of the things that we were going to talk about. Number one, the nest box.
Well, the nest box was a big thing for me because I had that hen that always broke eggs.
Yeah.
And I said, man, I paid
so much you couldn't breed her.
I said, I paid a lot of money for that hen, and I've never got. And we're like, Lido, make this 12 by 12 by 12.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh my God, you know. So I had him build. I brought the wood, and he built a bunch of them. You know? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah,
I swear by those.
The nest box is really important. There are boxes that you can build that'll keep the hens primarily from eating. It's not going to be 100%, but it will slow them down from eating the eggs and breaking eggs and that sort of thing, which is something you definitely don't want. I just can't stand a hen laying on the ground.
Yeah.
It just really causes a lot of issues that, you know. The cock will move the egg around sometimes, or, you know, I used to have a cock that would, if the egg was on the ground, he'd try his best to put it back in the nest. He'd be half the day out there trying to move that thing back into the nest. And the eggs get dirty. It just causes a lot of issues. I'm not a fan of it. What type of nest boxes are you using where you are now?
Similar to what we had out there. They're just sideways.
Yeah.
You know? But I don't have big fly pens. I'm basically, what I did is I bought ready-made fly pens before, but they were kind of stand-up, and my guys have reconfigured them. They took them and put them on the side, and then we just put steel sheeting on there now. So, but the boxes are still similar to what you had out there before.
I turned mine.
12.
Yep, I turned mine sideways and use them that way as well. Put a little lip on one side. I got to where that I'm a fan. If you're not having trouble with like them eating eggs, 5-gallon buckets, you can do a lot with a 5-gallon bucket. I used to put sand in the bottom, and then I'd put bedding in them, and I would cut the lid in half so that the water wouldn't rain in my fly pens and get the eggs wet. And the hens like to get down in them because they got that cover over one side there. So you take the lid and you set it straight up, the 5-gallon bucket, and you put some sand in the bottom of it. You put some I like wheat straw as bedding. You can put rice husks or whatever you got in it as bedding on top of the sand. The sand will help keep it from flipping over. It keeps the moisture down in the bottom, and it'll also keep them from breaking the eggs and from them flipping over. And you just take the lid that goes on a 5-gallon bucket and just cut it right in half and put that one half over the top of the nest.
That makes sense.
And they'll get right down in it. And I used to have trouble with the rain blowing in, and I could turn it so that the rain couldn't get in the bucket that way. Or you could take that same bucket and turn it over on its side, and then that lid becomes a lip that the hen to keep the eggs from rolling out on the ground. And you can turn the bucket long ways, and then you can screw it to the wall, or you can set it on the ground or whatever, and she can get over in it. Still got the sand on the side now, instead on the bottom, it's on the side, and then the bedding on it, and it weights it so it doesn't go anywhere. So, but there's a lot of great, I've made trap nests over the years where when the hen goes in, she lays the egg. Like if you got a cock and 6 hens up, and you want a single mate, you can use a trap nest where the hen goes in and she lays, and then she can't get out. She's stuck in there with the egg until you go and you let her out. You can identify the hen and then mark it on the egg. So you can single mate with 6 hens in one cock if you're using a trap nest like that. There's a lot of ways to do it. A lot of different tricks over the years with nest box. Marking eggs, you were just talking about that.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people are diehard believers, and I don't know how many times
Those are arguments. that
I've got
people
in Facebook fights with guys saying, well, you're an idiot. You put Sharpie toxic into your fowl,
With Sharpie, I remember the one guy a long time ago said that, and I've gotten to where I don't even engage in that.
I don't either.
Anymore.
I just got to where I don't even want to answer them.
I mean, I can't engage with arguments anymore. I'm just past that. But I will say that we've tried everything.
Yeah.
And I've never had things go wrong because of what I was using to mark them. I've used ball pens, just whatever's closest there, I use it. But I will tell you that if you use pencil, it rubs off.
It'll come off. Yeah. You put them in the incubator, and they get a little sweaty in there, and moisture goes up, and you put your hand on it to turn the egg or to move it, and it'll rub right off on your thumb. And then you'll have a yard hatch. It might as well be a yard hatch because you won't know what it is. And you can never breed that cock as a pure with any assurity.
That's right.
All because you used a pencil instead of a Sharpie. So hell, I've used crowns. I've used everything in the world.
And that's how it was. I mean, that's how it is now up there. My guys just use whatever they have up there.
Yeah. Take the old lady's fingernail polish.
Pins and for what? For egg? Okay, then I'll bring. I'll buy some and bring them up there. But I buy markers. Permanent markers. Yeah,
the permanent marker just works. And I write on the top of the egg and on the side of the egg what it is. I go by a number system. I have a number for the pen that they're in, and then so I don't have to write hatch, round head. I ain't got room to put all that on it. So like my hatch round head cross, this cock, that hen, I got that written down on a piece of paper. They're in pin number 2. Okay, my egg has, this is pin number 2. I know which rooster in pin number 2. So that's what's on the egg. I have to refer to the book to know what's, but I write that on the top and the side both. Because what happens is sometimes when the chick pecks out,
Oh yeah.
he'll destroy either the side
You're
or
trying
the
to
top.
snatch it back up.
Yeah, you're trying to figure out what it was. And so just for security, I put it on the top. You can even put it on the bottom, on the pointy side, the bottom that goes down, so that you can know what it is, in case, just put it somewhere where they're not going to be pecking through, because sometimes you don't always get the whole shell at the top. Sometimes you may want it on the side. So just little tricks that you learn over the years.
Plus, when you turn them, if you do manual turning,
Yeah.
you can know if you already had that side up.
Yeah.
Like, did I already rolled this one or not?
Yeah, when I'm manual turning, when I'm doing a manual turn, I put an X on the side.
Yeah.
X up, next day X down, next time X up, X down. Whenever, no matter how many times a day I'm turning them. That way I know, and a lot of times I'll know, did I turn them today or not? I can't remember. I'll go back and look and see. Well, yeah, it's X up. I did turn them, so I put an X on the side of them like that. You told me, I think it was you that told me the story about your mother-in-law helping you out collecting eggs.
Yes.
Tell us that again. It's been 5 years.
That was the nightmare, man. That's when she was really starting to lose it a little bit, because now she's old now. I'm really old. She can't even go out there anymore.
She suffers a little bit from dementia or whatever, right?
Yeah, and but back then, she was still out there. She went. This is when we were really big into stuff, and she comes with this basket of eggs. Show me the chicken's many eggs.
Yeah, I got eggs for you.
They lost his damn mind.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so she didn't understand the theory that we had about the numbered pins.
We just got 30-yard hatch today.
That's right. That's exactly
nothing
how it
but
was.
battle cocks now.
That's
I
right.
can't breed none of them.
That's right.
Nothing but battle cocks. Not for assuredly be able to breed them anyway. But yeah, I've always been. One of the things about me and collecting eggs is I can't walk and chew gum anymore at the same time. And haven't been used to be when I was younger. My mind was like a steel trap. Everything I hung on to, and could have 6 different flows of thought all at the same time. And
Now you can't remember if you took your pill.
No. She's got to put it in a box with the day and time and all that in there.
I turned my bottle upside down so I know.
Yeah.
If I took it or not. That's how I do it.
She has to put them in a thing that's got the morning, noon, evening, bedtime, and then it's got the day on it. And she'll be like, "Did you take your medicine?" And I'll have to go look at the box to see if it's still in there.
So when I collect eggs, I would always have my pin. Now my guys do I don't live on a farm anymore, so I don't get involved with that stuff. But back when I did at night, that's when I always collect at night, because they're up in their roof poles and whatnot. So I go out there and have my pin with me, a flashlight.
Don't leave the pin until you mark the egg. I've done that, and I've got them and put them. Okay, well I'll get these and I'll get them in my left hand, and I'll get this egg and I'll put it in my right. And then I get out of both pins and I'm like, son of a bitch, I don't remember which. So now I get one pin at a time, and I get the eggs out of it. And before I ever leave the pin, I write the number on it. If I close the door before, then I'm lost. I'm completely lost. So
I'm with you on that one.
Guys, you may not be as old and senile as I am, but I assure you, if you live long enough, you'll begin to write.
You'll say I should have took their advice.
Yeah, I should have listened to that. I can remember when I was young. I was always super strong and could lift anything. And Dad used to always tell me, he said, when you're about 50, he said, that'll come back and remind you, how stupid you were to not just go get a wheelbarrow and haul it in a wheelbarrow, or go get a dolly and put it up on a dolly and you just throw the whole refrigerator up on your back and walked off with it.
Feel all your mistakes.
He said, yeah, about 50, 52, you'll start feeling these mistakes.
That's right.
And I was like, I don't know what, I'm strong, I can pick it up, But now, man, every time I go to get out of bed, it's like, oh, there's that refrigerator I lifted back, and
I knew I should have done that.
Yeah. And every old injury comes back. Where I fractured my ribs years ago on this side hurts me all the time now. Had a motorcycle accident. Laid one down on a gravel road. If that's on your bucket list and you haven't done it yet, it's okay. You can write that off. But I cracked a bunch of ribs over on this side, and I know that's got to be what it is. Now on a cold morning or whatever, and it's like, oh shit,
Well, the other day when I was doing shoulders, my coach had me facing the machine and doing shoulder press a certain way, and then he had me doing them just one-handed, and I sort of pinched my
sideways.
body like this a little bit, and man, I couldn't tell if I had kidney stones or muscle pain. I was like, damn, I think I got kidney stones, but it wasn't. It was just I had pinched that muscle over here, between my rib and my pelvic area. And man, I tell you, it's just one wrong tweak, man. You're out of the game for a week,
Oh yeah, yeah. And it's funny because the least little thing, I can throw my back out now. Me and April have a joke about. She says that's her superpower, a sciatica. That's her superpower. I'm sciatica man. Everything I bend over.
It's making me laugh.
Yeah. I'm like one of those roosters you used to fight, the hunchback, crippled, humped over. Yeah, that's me. But. I knew a kid years ago that stepped on a pencil and broke his leg. Broke his leg stepping on a pencil at school. And I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't have been there when it happened. And it's funny that how, reach in to pick something up and you go to pick it up and pull your back out. This is the funniest things that can happen.
Seatbelts on.
Yeah, exactly. Getting back on the subject here, we're kind of going through this quick, guys, because we're trying to keep these under an hour. We used to go on for a couple of hours or 2.5 or whatever, but we want to keep these a little more manageable and all that, and you guys don't have to sit and to go through so much of them. And it's easier on Mike and I, doing the editing and putting it all together and everything. Maybe someday when we're live again, we'll be able to go for until we answer everybody's questions.
Yeah.
Yep. Answer everybody's questions. But for now, we're trying to keep them 40 minutes, 50 minutes, maybe even an hour. Storage of egg, Big Mike, when we talked about marking them, talking about the nest box, talking about marking them and collecting them, what do you do with them? What's the best way to store them? Now, I know you're a guy that typically doesn't use a chiller. You're a guy that normally uses, I'm sure at your farm, since you have no electricity now, you're using
we did do that before, over the years.
You and I did when we were raising chickens together.
But I tell you, man, in Florente, I think I had better luck without the chiller. I always thought that there was something to it. Florente would even wrap them in tissue and put them in the ref, because they would get that humidity on them. When you take them out, when you take them out of the ref,
that is the hardest transition right there. And I've been doing this for years. I've been using chillers for years and putting them. That is, I always take them out 24 hours ahead of time before I'm going to set them.
Sure.
And they're going to sweat like crazy, and I know that's not good. For the
I
egg.
think that holding them but I tell you, I'm on a mountain now, on the side. My farm's on the side of a mountain, and when we went into where my chicks are, it's, I have all the steel roof, but it's also the bamboo comes up there, so the bamboo shades my steel roof. It's like an air conditioning now, so it's already kind of cool. So that's where we store them, and we only store them for 1 week at a time.
Yeah.
He puts them under the hens.
See, that's the trick, and that's the thing. I would discourage guys from using a chiller if you're gonna be 10 days and under. 10 days and under, I would say just let them, because a hen leaves them on the nest longer than that.
She's laying out. 10 days if she's got 10, or 12 days if she has 12 days. It's been 12 days.
Yeah.
So you figure you got some wiggle room there, but I tell you, I think the best is 7.
Yeah, 7 days is absolutely the best.
7 days.
You can squeeze 3 more days out of them. It'll lower your hatch rate percentage. But after 10 days, it drops significantly. You can look at the studies, and I wrote about it in Breeding Basics. It drops significantly. The hatchability of an egg after 10 days, and then after 14 days it drops a tremendous amount again. the ability for them to hatch. So, you know, if you can set them every 7 days, if you can manage that with like your incubators or whatever, that's awesome. You know, if you've got enough hens that you can do it. When Ratliff were breeding chickens, he never owned an incubator in his life. He wouldn't even know how to turn one on. He never used one, and but he had 1,000 to 1,500 cocks all the time, and I'm like, Mike, how do you produce that many? How do you produce that many chicks? And what he did is he had brood hens, and then he had surrogate hens for sitting. And those hens, he had 300 hens on his farm, average 300 hens that were sitting on eggs, hatching the eggs, and then he would put them out on a teepee with the hen tied on a tie cord. And he had the nest, the box they were hatched in came out with the hen, and she would just put the box there underneath the teepee, so it'd be out of the rain. After like 3 days or whatever, after she gets them off the nest, he would take them out and put them on the teepee, and the chicks wouldn't go very far because the hen would call them back. And so after he did that, after a week or so or a couple of weeks, he would wing band them at that point, right there on the thing. He'd go out at night and take them out from underneath her and wing band them. And once they got up a certain amount of size, he would take the chicks and split them, put the pullets on one range, the stags on another range. And that's the way he raised them. And the hen would go through a rest period, and then she'd turn around, right back around, and go back in if he was still breeding, and go back to, getting her broody again, getting her set on another batch. So, but imagine, if say you're hatching 1,000 stags, you got to raise about 2,000 to 3,000 chicks.
Wow.
That's a lot of. That's
hens.
a lot of hens to do that with.
Yeah, because hens are laying and sitting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But he never let his brood hens. He didn't like for his brood hens to sit on the eggs. He said it took too much out of the. It's like a woman having a baby.
Remember, I used to let the hens keep laying. When you remove the eggs, they'll just keep laying and laying. I had that one Bakiki that, God, she laid over a month.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I can understand that. And I do believe it does. Well, I would have problems with hens that sat. That's when you really can see the ones that had issues. I believe that it does take a lot out.
Yeah, it's kind of like a woman having a baby. Say what you want, but that's as close to death without actually dying that a woman can come to, and it's traumatic on the body. I mean, you look at all the stretch marks and everything pushed out of place, and
Yeah, they're on the fever the whole time, basically sitting on eggs.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's what being broody is. They go through that 21 days, or actually more than that, because they're broody for quite a few days before they set. So at least a month of running a solid fever the whole time. They're only eating once or twice a week. They're only taking a shit once or twice. That's enough to make, hell, if I don't shit once a week, that's enough to make anybody mad. So,
Get your moody right
yeah. I'd be moody too, not broody, but moody.
That's what's so good about me using these turkey right now, man. I think that really.
I want to see I want to document that.
Tell,
we need to film that and show that on the show.
I'll tell Janelle to video some.
Yeah, I want to know how that works out and see how that. Oh yeah,
we've done them all.
Yeah, No, I know that.
Chicks right now, and they're all.
Yeah, I wonder how guineas would do. I know a lot of guys, or some guys that I've known over the years that raise chicks with guineas, but I don't know how guinea would do.
Well, guinea will fight the group. That's why I was going to get guinea before, and Fronto said, "I got to fight your chicken." The guineas are so smart; they'll bring a rooster out to the end of the cord.
Yeah, and
turkey will do that too, actually, once they get old enough. So that's why I keep them penned up.
Yeah. My thing, guineas make great guard dogs.
Oh, yeah,
they'll tell you
snakes.
Somebody up's in, and somebody pulls up in the driveway. Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
But we had guineas for a little while, and my dad my dad would get stuff, and he'd get to where it wouldn't take him long. He'd, hell, I can't stand that thing. Yeah, it'd disappear. It'd end up in a post hole somewhere he dug. Many a good rooster got stuffed in a post hole over the years. We talked about storage, incubator. When when you break that bad boy out of the storage and you hadn't used it all year, are you gonna plug it right up and stick your best cross right in there and let it warm up? How you gonna do that?
Well, we ripped the backs of them off, man, and clean them out. But I could bring an incubator down to my house because I have one still. That old one still works. Man.
Yeah, I've still got a couple of them.
And fire it up, but yeah, you got to clean it, and I always let it run for a week.
Yeah, always let it run for a week, and get a good disinfectant. Some seriously strong bleach water or some ammonia or something, and or even a good poultry. They make some good poultry that actually kill certain poultry, diseases, and use those to really get inside and scrub it all down, because that down hangs on to every little
It's amazing what you get out when you break them apart.
Yeah.
How much dirt comes out of there. Yeah. You don't see it. When you open them up, you take your chicks out, you don't really notice that there's that much shit in there. Really.
Well, and clean your fans out good. Make sure your fans, I wouldn't, if you got one that sounds listen to them. If they sound a little off or anything, I'd go ahead and change that thing. Man, the fans don't cost that much.
If the fan's not blowing right, the heat won't get down to the bottom.
No,
so you got to make sure the fans are clean.
Won't circulate properly, and it'll cause you. And you don't want to be changing it in the middle of a hatch, middle of a batch of eggs. You don't want to be changing it then. But that seems like you always
what about here? The electricity going out all the time.
Oh, brownouts all the time.
That used to scare shit. That's why I like how we're doing it now. Because even if I spent the damn near $1,000 it would cost me to put in electricity up there, because I have to rent a cable, and it's not mine. I just rent.
Yeah,
that's the whole deal. That's the big.
It's a lot of money to spend on
a rental. That's right. That if they decide to sell the land, which they could, I would only have until my lease is up, and then I'd have to find a new place. So, but when the electricity would go out, man, I'd be just sweating like, oh my God, I got 300 eggs in there right now, and the electricity's out. So I don't miss that part at all.
Yeah. No, I don't either. And here the brownouts are really bad.
Yeah.
And it may go off for 24 hours sometimes. Yeah. Once in a while it'll go off. Whenever it's the hottest and it's the most inconvenient, that's when the shit will go off. It seems like that's the thing.
In the daytime, it's not so bad.
No.
If you have a brownout in the daytime, the heat stays up. But if at my farm, if I had electricity and it was a brownout at night, it gets cold at night.
The guys even in the States talk about, well, the electricity's off tonight or whatever. And, wrap your incubator up with a blanket.
Oh, yeah.
Wrap it up real good with a couple of blankets, and
don't open the door.
And don't open it at all. Don't let the heat out, and you should be okay for at least 24 hours. Yeah. Because the hen will get off of them for a while, sometimes for hours, and even if she's off a day, I've had hens, that went off and you didn't know where they went for a day, and they came back, been gone all day long or all whatever. And so they it's a crapshoot, but you might not lose everything.
Yeah.
It makes a but the worst thing you can do is open that thing up, because you let every bit of it's like when the electric goes off, you open up the refrigerator.
I yell at my kids, "Oh, power's out."
Yeah, don't. Yeah, you're not getting any milk right now. So what do you change differently now? Now I run my incubator, between 55 and 65. I like to keep the room temperature at about that temperature. Or that humidity, and try to keep the room. The room that I had, the last farm I had, I kept it at about 90 degrees day and night, so that the incubator doesn't have to run very much to heat up. My incubator wouldn't cut on once an hour.
We kept it outside first, then I moved it inside, and I realized keeping it inside, the heat that your motor's giving off, the heat that the incubator gives off in that
Will fill up the room.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I think that really helped a lot.
Yeah. And
And then when I'm opening it to turn them or whatever, the temperature doesn't drop.
the room that I had a dehumidifier in it, and I kept the humidity in that room about 45. That gave me a humidity inside the incubator about 55 or 60. And so I rarely ever had to put water in it. Maybe once or twice during the entire hatch. And I almost could have hatched eggs in the room the way that I set it up. And I think that when you got an incubator that's got those highs and lows, temperature high, temperature low, and humidity high and humidity low, I think that really hurts you. I think it makes your the mortality rate or your hatchability a lot less. I think you're going to get more deformed chicks.
Sure.
I think you're going to wind up with some respiratory disorders because of it. And
Well, don't people say that the crooked toes come from
humidity. Yeah, a lot of times. Yeah, they're either genetic or humidity, one of the two.
Yeah.
And so I always tried to keep my room that I kept it in. Like I said, I had an outside gauge there where I could tell the temperature and the humidity in the room, and then I could check it against. And your incubator always comes with a humidity gauge, but I always added a digital one, a good one inside where I could read it as well, where I could compare all three and see what the real deal was. And it made a huge difference in my hatch rate. I was getting 92, 93% hatch rate when I got it all dialed in. Before that, it was 70, 68, 70%, sometimes 75 or 80, but it was hit and miss. And when I got it all dialed in the last couple of years I was raising, that helped me a lot to be able to. Now, when you go up on the humidity, you turn your turner off and you go up on the humidity on like day 17, day 18. What do you do? When you were hatching with the incubator.
The sponge. I put the sponge in.
Wet sponge.
I put the sponge in the water. 'Cause I have mine is the type that, and what I do is I move it over to the fan so that the fan will blow that moisture off into there.
It gives you
I'll even put two. It depends when I read it. If it's not where I want it, I'll put an extra.
And that causes the humidity to go up because it's a bigger surface area,
that's right.
and it's easier for the fan to blow that humidity, the water, moisture out of the sponge than it is out of that bowl.
Sure.
And so, guys, if you don't know that one, you got a container in there of water, like a pan about that deep or whatever size you use. Put a sponge inside of it. Wet your sponge and then put your sponge in there. Try one sponge and wait a couple of days and see if
see where you're at.
see where you're at. Add another sponge. You can wait 24 hours. It'll be where it's going to go within 24 hours. You might have to.
Nothing.
Yep. You might have to try a second sponge if you live in a stubborn area where the humidity's not like it needs to be. When mine hatch, Big Mike, I always leave them in the. Of course, you want to take them out of the incubator, your turner, and put them in your hatcher if you've got a separate hatcher, or put them down in the bottom in the little hatch boxes. I used to use the zip laundry bags, the little small laundry bag, like for women's panties or whatever that they put in the laundry. Would put my eggs in those and do them by batch. Okay, these are all number 6 pin. These are all my pure hatch. These are, number 7 pin. These are, hatch roundhead crosses. And then they hatch in those bags, and then you know what they are. If you've got the steel metal boxes, we've had those before.
Yeah, I mean, I like the bags though. I have the steel boxes, but I just quit using them because they were a pain in the ass to get in and out. So I would just use the same box that I had the eggs in when I turned them. I just put those net bags in there, a couple days prior, and that's what I like.
Yeah.
And I'm like you. I don't take them out right away. I let them dry off really good.
Yeah.
And I do it in the morning. Like I'll go out there after I feed. And that's usually when I would mark them.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, we're out here by the pool deck, and someone is murdering a small child
us.
in our near vicinity. No, it's not us. We have both
Not
our.
guilty.
But that's what that noise is.
We like that. I like I was saying earlier. I like the background because it's not the same. Like when we were just in our house, you know.
Yeah.
It gives people,
No, at least they know we're
really in the
we're not
Philippines.
talking heads. We're not AI. You know, we're not an avatar here. We're actually real life people in real life situations here doing all this.
I like the scenery.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
the background.
Oh,
It gives character to
yeah,
it. To our
yeah.
show.
It as long as it doesn't get too out of hand, and I have
Did you
to
mention that where we're at here? At the,
Yeah, we're here at Grand Residence. It's in Cebu. This is a condo where I live currently here in Cebu. I moved here about 8 months ago, I guess. 8, 9 months. No.
We'll have to do one from the rooftop.
Yeah,
one of
we
these
will.
times so
We'll
you guys
actually
can see up
we'll
there.
actually do one from the rooftop where you guys can see. It's got the best view. On the 40th floor, there's a bar and restaurant up there, and just
And
incredible.
it's a condo, but you can have room service.
Yeah, I've even got room service. I don't even have to leave the room to get a beer. They'll bring it to me. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And guys were
And they like us.
they do. They like us a lot.
Your neighbors all like us. It's good.
Yeah, it's a real friendly place. There's a lot of foreigners live here. A lot of Americans live here. I've met some really interesting people.
Every time I'm here, I meet your friends, and they turn out to be just cool people.
Yeah, there's just and they come up. A lot of people are curious. We've had some really pretty girls come up and ask us about their content providers and stuff on or influencers on YouTube or
Last
whatever.
time when we finished taping the Bruce and Big Mike Take on the World show, we ended up with a
Whole table
whole
full of
gaggle
people.
of people
Yeah.
here, talking to us about it.
Yeah, I really did. I sat here till 9:30 that night.
Yes,
I never left the table. We were here until we shut it down. A couple of them had to be helped back to their room, but they had fun anyway, and it was enjoyable. But Brooders. Now, you and I both have tried everything over the years, and what do you like the best? What do you
I'm
recommend?
gonna tell you, man. I'll take pictures. I've been building. Well, when I say I've been building, I tell them what to build.
Building by proxy.
It gets built.
Building by
It
proxy.
got builted.
Yeah. Under my instruction, it was Generals don't actually go out and fight the wars. They just give the
delegate.
orders.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I've been making them out of mahogany wood. So I love that mahogany from over there in the
Yep.
one. I still
Yep.
go there
That's
and
what I
buy it.
used over there.
And no lights, man. We keep them in these boxes first for about the first 2 days, and he'll just open the top, and they sort of keep themselves not in there, and it works, man.
You can do that here in the Philippines because it doesn't
it's
get.
not cold.
It's not 30 degrees.
But I'll tell you, a guy told me a guy sent me pictures. It's a Filipino guy. He sent me pictures and said, I used to use lights, and my friend didn't use lights, and so I put some in lights and I put some not in lights, and he showed me that the ones in lights weren't as big,
Yeah.
and
Because they don't ever sleep.
and I didn't get that aspect, and I had so many problems when I used to use lights. They would pile up under the lights when it got a little, and I'm not talking a lot of cold. Here a little bit of temperature drop, they piled up on each other. And I tried it with less in there, and it didn't matter. They would always come under the light. So I told Janelle when we moved up here, start trying them in these. And what we use is the boxes that you carry the chickens in, the cardboard chicken
Yeah.
boxes.
Yeah.
So we put them in that, and
Like carrying cases, but here they're made out of cardboard and mass produced.
Yeah, and so we put them in cardboard boxes for the first couple of days. Then we start putting them in these things, but they have steel wire on the bottom. And I heard people say before, if you put them in steel wire, they have bad feet. I've never had anything happen with the feet. No cuts on their feet.
I've seen it, but it's like one of those things. Some guys have success with it.
Yeah.
Others don't. I don't like it. I've had chicks.
Was shocked when he was up there and looked in there. He said, "Man, these chicks are really healthy." I said, "No lights." Remember I said, remember I used to have to go around try to find certain lights you wanted?
Yeah.
Heat, they give off heat. Look, no lights. And they're good. The trick is not to have too many of them in there.
Yeah.
Because when you have too many, they'll start to fight and they'll pile up.
I wrote an entire chapter on cannibalism in the new book, Fowl Fixes. Cannibalism and the number one cause of cannibalism is overcrowding.
Stress. That's right.
Yeah, stress.
Yeah.
Every all sickness, nearly, and I say nearly all sickness in chickens is stress related.
I'll tell you.
Just like people.
Last time I hatched a lot. That's why I'm not hatching big batches, because really I said this last time. I don't want to have the facilities to mass produce anymore. I don't want the overhead. So you have to operate within this. So I told you that don't have, because last time I told him I just want to do like 20 or 30 a month. You know, give me 50 chicks, we'll have 20 or 30 that survive, we'll be good. Because he said, well, sir, you're going to spend too much on the immunizations. I said, what does it matter? And then you know what happened? He hatched out too many. They started to fight. Then we had that rain, and they all got sick. Wiped them out.
You lost all of them.
That's right.
Plus your immunization.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So I said, don't.
And it's really not. They think of that. Of
Because
course,
they're trying to help us out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is here too, they hear that, all their life about do the big batch and use the one little bottle and it vaccinated 1,000. But the thing is, it's only a few dollars.
That's right. $12.
They're
And for us, $12. I mean, you figure. Well, in this time, the chicks are healthy. We're doing it right.
one additional healthy chick will pay for the whole damn bottle.
That's right.
If you're pullet, you're worth pulling and worth $12.
Yeah.
You need to color.
Yeah, and even me, I tend to get a little overzealous too. Like when they were hatching good and everything was fine until it wasn't. You know, and they start fighting, and I'm like, well, look, I don't want to have bigger facilities. So this is where we're at. So let's do it like this. Just 2 hens. Get the chicks from them, and those are big enough, then you can set a couple more, but just do it like a conveyor belt type system, like manufacturing.
It's so hard to discipline yourself to only, because you got that hen and she's laying and the eggs are getting bigger and prettier. Everyone she lays is bigger and prettier
and
than the last.
American is the next guy.
Oh yeah.
If this is great. I want more.
Yeah. More is
and
better.
I don't like to put pressure on my guys, because I know my guys want to do more because they want things to be better for them. Well, plus they make more money too.
More money for them. I understand it.
So I think now we're on to it. We've kind of fine-tuned it. But brooder boxes, no lights. They're half, like part of it is closed in and the other side is open. Plywood all around the side on there. This side's open. They can go in and out.
Yeah.
20 or so per box, and that's you can get about a month out of it there. And that's about it. By then, now we have range net, and he's setting up the.
Well, and they're feathered out at a month. They're feathered out pretty good. I started out using lights and then making a brooder. I made metal brooders years ago. I had big brooders hanging from the ceiling that were 2 sheets of 10, so they were 8, 65 feet, take two 30-inch sheets of 10 or whatever they are. So, 5-6 feet wide, 8 feet long, and build a frame for them, and then hang the lights through there, and they'd get under, and the heat came down. I did all that shit. Then I got away from the light bulb light, and I got into
I had the boxes. They were inside of a brooder.
Yeah, I love those boxes you had.
Yeah, they're up off the ground. They can't. But even then, it was so much, so much stuff to do.
Well, the thing is with the light is it keeps the chicks up all night. They're up. Somebody is always up, aggravating the shit out of the rest of them.
And if you shut that light off,
they'll all go, and they're up.
My chicks aren't so nervous when we walk in there. They don't freak out.
No, that's the thing. It adds stress.
He said, man, I saw his wheels were turning because we used to spend so much on lights, and not even the money we spend. It's just extra. You don't need it.
Well, and it's worse for your chickens to be. Chickens are daylight till dark creatures, and at night they need to be sleeping, and that goes for. Hey, how does nature do it? Well, the nature comes when it starts getting dark. She gets on the nest and pulls all the hens or chicks back underneath the hen.
And they don't really do that long. You know, if you think about when they're with
she gets them within a couple of weeks. She's getting them up on a roost pole.
That's right.
You
So
know,
if you
just
can
a
keep
few
'em
weeks.
Now I remember Brady told me one time. He said, if a chick gets cold, they're dead. You know, if they get cold, they're dead.
He's right about that.
And that's one thing that I always try to remember. You know, so if those first couple of days, first week, if you just keep like what Janelle does at night, he puts them in that carton and put them out and get them used to that. And I tell you, that's why they like when he goes in there. They come to him.
Yeah, a cold chick is a dead chick. A wet chick is a dead chick.
Oh yeah, wet.
You know, either one or the combination. I switched to using the red infrared lights, the heat lamps type of thing. Didn't like those so well either. They're hot.
I bought some of those reptile lights.
That was my next point.
Burned my the chicks got kind of some of them that had big burn marks on their heads. Yeah. Those didn't work.
You
don't need it.
The reptile
if you do
stuff.
It right. Don't overcrowd them.
Well, if you're in a colder temperature, especially if you're trying to do the early hatch and all that, you're gonna need something. But I actually found that ceramic heaters work really well.
Well, they did out there for us, but I had burn marks on some.
Well, no, I'm talking about the space heaters.
Oh, okay. I didn't try that.
If you got the little space heaters and you can put them up off the ground where that they can't get to them, the heat is what you need, not the light.
Yep.
You're going for the heat without the light. If you can get the heat without the light, your chicks will be a lot better. They'll be a lot calmer. Mentally, they'll be you'll be surprised at how much it'll help them and have that right cycle. Nature knows what it's doing.
Yeah.
It really does. First feed. Now, I leave my chicks in the incubator 24 hours. From the time they hatch, I leave them in there. If they hatch today, I won't take them out until tomorrow sometime. And a lot of guys get them out first thing and try to feed and water them and all that, like they're trying to jump start them on to life. But it's not necessary because it's not like a baby, where you want to get a tit in its mouth right away.
What's the mom going to do? If it's just a hen with chicks, what is she going to do?
She stays on the nest.
Yeah, it's not like
she'll stay 2 days or longer
they
on
don't
the
get
nest.
Out. That's right.
The worst ones to hatch are usually 2 or maybe 3 days getting off the nest. They have enough yolk inside them. Their digestive tract is full when they're born.
Yeah.
So I have found out the hard way that you got way better chicks when you don't feed them the first. It gives their system the chance to go through a cycle, and it's necessary that they go through that empty cycle in order to have a healthy gut.
Sure.
Make a huge difference when they're grown.
Yeah, because the mom didn't get them out right.
No. Again, watch what nature does. It'll teach you a lot of stuff. The older I get, the more I learn about gamefowl. The more I figured out, I could have been doing this all along if I'd have just paid attention to nature.
Yeah.
And did what came natural. First feed. What do you give baby chicks? Right out of the box, the first time you put them down and going to feed them. What do you like to feed them with?
Well, we're using BMEG 2000, but what he does is he'll sift it. Get the powdery stuff and just put a little bit of the powder down, the powder feed for them.
So that's basically a chick crumble.
Yeah, because they have a 1000 that just, to me, once after a week, it's just too small for them.
Do you like a mash or a wet feed type of thing with your chicks?
Well, when they're a little bit bigger, it's hot
easier,
outside.
Yeah,
when it's hot, we'll do that like in the afternoon. We'll do a wet feed. It's in the afternoon.
I feed 50% boiled egg the first probably week, and every day I take it back a little. It's 50%, then it's 40%, then it's and I do that for a couple of weeks, maybe longer. I wrote about all this guys in my books. It's Gamefowl Essentials, the video. It's also in Breeding Basics. I talk about it. But I like doing the apple cider vinegar in the water the first day. I like doing the boiled egg for a few days. you know, with the baby chicks and mixing it in. Some chick grit won't hurt anything either. Some baby chick grit after a few days is really good. So mix in just a little bit, and I mix the boiled egg. I'll put a cup of finely chopped boiled eggs in with a cup of starter grower or chick starter to begin with, and chick crumbles, and mix it up. And the thing about the dust, which is really bad a lot of times in crumbles, is the boiled egg absorbs all that. And so you're not losing a lot of poundage.
That's right.
You know, it may not seem like much. You know, it may have a half a handful. You know, you think, but you do that every day for, and that adds up to several bags of feed that you're missing. A lot of waste, and so that tends to take it. I know a lot of guys that had success with wet feed with chicks. If I was raising chicks again, I might. I like trying new stuff. I like experimenting.
Well, here it gets hot in the afternoons, and it seems that they like a little snack in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Some wet feed.
Yeah, I used to come out at midday.
And you put the molasses in there at that time too.
Yep. I used to feed a midday feed, especially when it was really hot. I'd come out and feed something that was.
It's like ice cream.
Yeah. When they're baby chicks, I try to feed 3 times a day. I let them have what they'll clean up, and I don't want the feed sitting there because the flies will blow on it. You'll end up with all kinds of shit, a mess.
Yeah.
And a morning feed, a midday feed, and then an evening feed about an hour or so before dark. Now a lot of guys put feed out at night because the chicks will be up then, but I don't. Like I said, I don't like the lights anymore. I used to, but over the years, I've changed a lot on and it depends on what your situation is with a lot of these things that we talk about on here and stuff. We've gone about an hour, Big Mike, or maybe over. It looks like about an hour and 10 minutes. So I know we both got some other stuff, but we're actually going to save that for the next show.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too far into these, make them too long, too hard to edit, and too hard for people to watch. But guys, we are back with all new Top Spur TV, doing some brand new shows. Going to try and do
scenery.
Yep, brand new set. Hey, we spent $3 million building this set here. What do you think? No, we got a great location here to be able to do these. Very comfortable for me and Big Mike. He's sitting here having a Coke Zero, and I'm having a San Miguel adult beverage, and we're enjoying our getting together and talking chicken. If you guys get a chance. Number one, sign up, subscribe to this on YouTube, hit the notification bell so that when we do put one out, because we're not going to guarantee how many we're going to put out a month, and we're not going to be doing them like before, every Monday morning or in U.S. Sunday night at 8 o'clock.
We're kind of long-winded on these two because we're both excited.
Yeah, because we hadn't the last couple of shows we had a lot to talk about, but we'll get it down to a little bit more manageable time frame. Yep. So we had a lot to say after 7 months, but excited to be back. Hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. Tell somebody that we're out there. If you're on Facebook, you're watching it, please share it.
Check out our other show too.
Yep, that's what I was going to say. Go over here on. I'll try to put the link down in the description of this show as well, where you can go over and check out Bruce and Big Mike Take on the World. That's our other show. Got our email address down on the bottom for you a couple of times here through the show. You can email us at bruceandbigmike@gmail.com. Guys, we love you. We appreciate you. Send us something. Drop a comment. Let us know you're out there. Let us know you're happy that we're back, or you hate the fact that we're back. Whichever one applies. Yeah. Whichever one flips your nickel. That'll be fine with us. We're easy going. But we love you. We appreciate you, Big Mike. Well, final word, my friend.
All right, guys. Good seeing you again. See you next time.